Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first council meeting of 2019. Hope everyone had a great time this holiday season and running the new year with family, friends, and loved ones. With that, Lee, Mr. Frisch.
Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach on Wednesday, January 2nd, 2019 at 7 p.m. We'll have roll call. Councilmember Bendel.
Here.
Councilmember Mandel is absent. Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Vice President Dyer.
Here.
President Morales. Here. Let the record indicate the presence of acting City Manager Michael Tagney and Corporation Counsel Robert Agostisi. Will now be sworn to the floor.
Mr. Frazier, will you lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with the City Manager update.
Late last month, the Supreme Court of the State of New York, Nassau County, dismissed an appeal from superblock developer iStar to reverse the Long Beach Zoning Board of Appeals decision issued earlier this year, which rescinded the developer's permit. The court decision is expected to impact a separate lawsuit initiated by iStar against the city, in which they are seeking $100 million in lost profit. The city thanks its legal team and the Office of the Corporation Counsel for working diligently to defend the city every step of the way against this extremely well-funded adversary. Each stage of the litigation and the many years of planning and preparation dating back to iStar's first application for tax abatement in 2015 was handled in-house. This saved the city approximately $1 million in outside legal fees. We are very happy, the city is very happy to report after months of advocating to New York Rising in a recent meeting with state officials that the deadline ending New York Rising's interim mortgage assistance program has been extended until June 2019. The program, which provides mortgage and rental aid for those still rebuilding from Sandy, was set to end on January 1st. This will be the last extension granted. If you believe you are eligible, contact your case manager or the call center at 844-9NY-RISING. The Army Corps of Engineers has completed approximately 80% of the beach protection project due to numerous fall and winter storms and the breakdown of dredges equipment. Sand rehabilitation and dune construction was postponed and is now expected to be completed by spring 2019. Dune walkovers are currently being constructed and work will continue through this winter, spring, and summer, and are expected to be completed in fall, winter 2019. At this time, beach closures are not expected during summer construction. For more information, please visit longbeachny.gov/publicworks. Resident parking permits are now on sale. Permits may be purchased at the City Clerk's office, room 307 at City Hall, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or by mail. The office of the City Clerk will be open late on Tuesday, January 15th until 7 p.m., For more information, visit longbeachny.gov/City Clerk. Thank you to all that joined us for our 5th annual first night on December 31st at the Long Beach Ice Arena. This fun, family-friendly event included ice skating, games, spread, music, movies, snack bar specials, and a special New Year's Eve ball drop. With that, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and healthy New Year.
So the city manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Will make a motion to close the meeting.
I will.
Second. Voting, Councilmember Benzo.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Ryan.
Yes.
President Obama.
Yes. Okay, we now enter our good and welfare section of the evening. Start off the new year, we're going to change up the way good and welfare works a little bit. It's technically supposed to be 3 minutes of uninterrupted time, and that's what you're going to receive is 3 minutes of uninterrupted time. We're not stopping the clock. We'll answer questions at the end of your 3 minutes. If we can't answer any of your questions, we're going to be writing them down, and we'll answer them in the beginning of good and welfare at the following meeting. Ms. Kathleen O'Leary. Good evening and happy New Year.
Captain O'Leary, Long Beach. I want to speak about 2 things. First, I went to South Nassau's showing of the new medical facility, and I don't think they were prepared for the amount of resistance that they got from people. It's pretty outrageous what we're not getting and what we are getting. I did make the suggestion to one of the people there that they run fundraisers to get us more medical services here. And they kind of blanched when I said, I know what you've raised from your fundraisers for the Oceanside campus. So as far as I know, they have not scheduled a night meeting. But I really think it's an insult to the Barrier Island residents, what they're throwing us, particularly with the amount of money, excuse me, they got from FEMA, they got from fundraising, and now they're getting from Mount Sinai. And the second thing I want to speak about is the city manager search. I know that we have a city manager here, as opposed to a mayor, like most cities like Great Neck, or Glencoe. And I was going to suggest that if we don't successfully find a city manager by the end of the first quarter, why don't we change the charter and elect a mayor instead?
Thank you. Mr. Roy Lester. Good evening.
Roy Lester, Long Beach. We're a little surprised you changed the format of good and welfare. Why did you do that? You can take part of my 3 minutes. Why did you do that?
Because it's supposed to be, the council is supposed to hear the thoughts of the community, and we are supposed to discuss them. And if there are questions, we can try and answer them, but it's just supposed to be so you have 3 minutes to speak your mind to the council. It's turned into a debate, back and forth, of questioning, and it's turned into political theater, and that's not what this is. This is a governmental procedure and a governmental meeting, and we need to start treating it that way.
But this is the way that the public gets their information, by asking you, by having this type of debate. That's what democracy is about, Anthony. The debate,
This is not a debate forum. If you have a question about something that's going on in the city, after your 3 minutes, we will answer it. If we cannot answer it, because we need to do a little more diligence on it, I will answer it at the beginning of good and welfare at the following meeting.
and then there's no response to your answer. If I ask why it's raining, and you say because it's dogs outside, then I don't get a chance to respond to that under your format. And that to me sounds like something that's very undemocratic, where you cut off debate, where you cut off the response of the public. When was this discussed?
This is not a debate. This is not supposed to be a debate. This is a governmental meeting where if you have a question specific to the city and the functioning of the city, we will answer that question and get you the answer if we can't have it this evening.
Okay. Can you tell me when this was discussed? Because I don't remember this being discussed.
This does not have to be discussed.
It certainly does, Anthony. It's public. It's the public discourse. It certainly has to be discussed. Were you advised by your counsel that it doesn't have to be discussed?
The charter clearly states 3 minutes of uninterrupted time. I'm actually interrupting you right now.
Well, you're not, because I told you it's okay, and I told you you can take it off to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, and the other question I have is, a couple of months ago I asked about the money from the beach. I was told it hadn't been counted yet. It was difficult to count it. Has it been counted yet?
I believe yes.
Do you know what the amount is?
I think about 4.2 million.
Total?
Total.
And how did that compare to last year?
That's within 100,000. I think it was 4.3 this year.
Right, but originally you had said, maybe you can answer, that we were almost $1 million ahead. I would like to know what happened to that almost $1 million ahead.
Probably would be recouped in June, which is still part of the fiscal year.
I'm sorry.
It will be recouped in June, which is still part of this fiscal year. We still have the whole front of the season to go.
All right. All right.
Thank you. Ms. Allison Blanchett. Good evening. Happy New Year.
Is this 3-minute rule going to be every city council meeting moving forward?
Yes.
Did every city council member agree to this?
We haven't discussed it.
So you decided this. Is there going to be an election for the president and vice president of the city council?
We haven't discussed that.
It's usually around this time of year, isn't it, Anthony? Since part of my 3 minutes is for you to listen to me and for me to give feedback, I think it's time for you to step down as president. Hume, you've done nothing but his lapdog and in his shadow. It's time for you to step down as vice president. Recently, there was a DWI grant thing that was given, I believe it was $5,000 from Madeline Singus? One, and from, was it state, stop DWI? Well, it doesn't matter where it came from. You received money for overtime for police. I'm curious how many arrests, how many stops were made. I know usually during the Thanksgiving time when we have the enforcement stepped up, we hear about how many arrests were made, how many people were stopped. And I don't believe we received that this year. And I'm curious about that. If you could, I'm sure you don't have the numbers on the top of your head, and this is my 3 minutes. Could you release the numbers? Because I'm curious to see how many arrests that we did make during, please, my time is not being stopped, so please don't respond now. But please respond after if you like. And what I'm curious about, and I applaud that campaign, obviously, you know that I would. But in addition to how many tickets and arrests, what other preventative measures did the city take to move people safely through Long Beach? I had emailed all of you, Bendo, I apologize, I forgot to add you onto that email, but I had, and Rob was added on this, you were added on this, both heads of DOT were added on this, just trying to find out if we're behind bus service on New Year's Eve. Was that going to be one of the preventative measures to get people out of their cars, or people who, you know, such as myself, who don't have the privilege of owning a car, you know, how can we get around the city safely? And no one responded to me. I still don't know what the bus service was. I had FOIL request it, and I haven't even gotten that back yet. So, you know, I'm really curious if there were any other, if there was a conversation, did anyone think, how can we get people to move safely and, you know, to make sure our businesses are thriving? Did anyone talk to our civic associations or perhaps our Chamber of Commerce you know, or our businesses to find out how we can get people moving safely.
Thank you,
Because
Ms.
all
Thank you,
I
Ms.
saw,
Blanchett. Your time-
all I saw in the
your time is up, Ms.
newspaper
Blanchett.
was nothing
Mrs.
but
Blanchett.
photo ops with
Your time
advocates and public, it was
Your time is up, Ms. Blanchett.
public
Thank
safety
you.
theater is
There
all
was
it
one
was.
arrest made, we didn't record the number of stops, and information was given to the Herald.
But you
And
have
we
to,
did
you
have
have to
concerns.
record those stops, and you have to record that
Thank you,
data
Ms.
to
Blanchett.
submit it back
Thank
to
you.
the state. Will
You're
you be
taking
releasing
time from another resident,
information
Mrs.
regarding
Blanchett.
any
Mrs.
of
Blanchett, your
the
time is up.
stats
Mrs.
from
Blanchett,
the
please,
city?
your time is up.
Your time is
Mrs.
up.
Blanchett, I've heard that before, thank you. Appreciate that. We did have increased buses and free buses.
No, you
You're
didn't.
using them, right?
No, you didn't.
Free. Blanchett, extra buses. Ms. Noreen Egan.
No, you didn't. You said on
Ms.
a
Noreen.
throne of lies.
Good evening.
Good evening, Nora Egan, Happy New Year. Just a question on the new ruling. Do we have to email you to get you to respond, or are you writing everything down on the questions people
We
are
have the
asking?
questions being written down.
Okay, so I don't have to follow up with you, you're just automatically going to
If you want to,
find?
that's fine, but we will be writing down the questions.
And is there a time period when you're going to get back to residents on
I'm going
issues?
to answer the questions at the next good call.
Oh, the next,
Yeah.
I thought you said you're going to also email people, no? So it's
No,
going to be
it's-
2 weeks?
Standard, if you email, sometimes you get, are able to get an answer out to you in a few days. You email sometimes.
Yeah.
It would be different than the questions here, it's two different things.
Okay, and then my other question is, we're a year, this is our first year meeting of 2019. Where are we on the city manager search?
We're still working on it.
Is there a reason why it's taking so long? Can you guys not agree on anybody?
No,
Are we not down to 5, 10?
We had it knocked down and we didn't like where we ended up, so
Yeah.
I don't really want to speak for all the other council members, and it is,
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said. You had a knockdown?
well, we knocked it down to a smaller list, and then we were unhappy with some of the results. Without getting into personal details and private stuff, I think I'll just leave it at that.
And didn't we hire a firm?
We have not.
We have not? But wasn't that spoken about a couple of months ago? Or?
Yep, that's in the conversation right now. It's just a matter of paying for it.
So we're going to have to interview firms to find how to find somebody, and that'll take.
I'm sorry?
We're going to have to have a firm lined up of who we're going to use to find candidates.
If we were going to hire a firm, I'm not saying we were going to, but we were talking about it.
But do you have a list of firms? So then you have to interview which firm and agree on that. So
We don't-
take time.
There's not too many firms that do executive municipal employment, so there's not that big of a list of them.
But even if there's 3, you still all have to agree on which firm, which will take time. So you were just, I don't know, for some reason this delay seems to, there's something suspect about why this is being delayed for so long. And you're putting like the city in serious jeopardy because we can't get a controller until we have a city manager.
I think everyone wants to hire a permanent city manager and allow Mr. Tagney, who's done a great job, to go back to the police department. I think we're all in agreement there.
Okay, but you can't actually sit down and agree with each other on who to hire. Like I don't know, maybe it's your own personal.
It wasn't personal between the
intent,
council
you just
members.
can't.
There wasn't a personal difference on candidates through the council members. We didn't like where the search ended up, I think is what happened.
So I'm sorry, I don't
We were
understand.
unhappy with
The applicants?
candidates. Yeah.
Every
Yep.
single one of them. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Eddie Rowan. Happy New Year, Eddie.
Happy New Year, President Ronald. Recently, I have been speaking about the city's horrible financial state. Our ballooning debt, exorbitant retiree benefits, and numbers that came nowhere near the budget amount. Tonight, I want to discuss the federal single audit, which warns the city of potential violations of state and federal law. Some highlights include lack of a functioning ethics board. As I stated several meetings ago, this lack of an ethics board allows for conflicts of interest to go undetected and puts the city at higher risk for fraud and violates state law. The city does not track inventory on a regular basis. Again, this puts the city at risk for fraud and theft. The city is misreporting its bus miles and bus passengers to the state. In exchange for grant money to fund our public transportation system, the city has to report how many miles buses drove and how many people took the bus to the State Department of Transportation. The city is inaccurately and falsely reporting miles, not properly approving length of service awards. The city participates in the length of service award program, which provides retirement benefits for volunteer firefighters, those who put their lives on the line for our safety. The program operates on a point-based system, with points being based on length of service. Those with longer service have more points. The City Council is not approving and reviewing these points. So, my question to President Obama is, again, what is your plan to fix these weaknesses and the others within the report? Yes.
We are addressing each of those issues. I reached out to the last ethics board, and there were 7 members. 4 of them have requested to remain on the ethics board, and I will reappoint them. I am looking for 3 or 4 others. We're thinking about changing one of the nuances to it. Regarding the bus transportation, nowhere in the report does it say false. You added that, and that's not true. That's false. But anyway, they didn't like the way the mileage was captured, nor the deadhead routes, nor the passenger counts, because the drivers that were keeping them, they kept it on a tally sheet, and then the dispatcher tallied them all up, and they didn't save those tally sheets from the drivers, and that's what we were questioned on. They're looking to get fare boxes. We have a meeting next week with a fare box company to put into the buses so that we can get accurate reporting that the state and the federal government appreciates. Where we are, please?
The length of service award program?
The length of service award program. That's just a functionality. That will be brought before the council. The important thing to understand is that we're going to get the same report next year because we got this after the 2018 close. So we're going to get the same fare box issue, we're going to get the same LoSAP issue, but going forward, we won't have those for the 19 one.
And inventory as well?
Inventory control is very, very expensive, and the city doesn't have the money to do it.
Well, I'm very happy that the city is making progress on those important issues as well as others. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mary Bolasevich.
I'm gonna pass.
Okay. James Kirkland.
James Kirkland,
Happy New Year.
New York. Happy New Year, everybody. First, I'd like to start by congratulating Corporation Council on the great representation. I do have a question. Is the win also subject to an appeal?
Yes. And if it, I'm sure it'll be appealed.
Seems kind of like flimsy ground. I don't know if they appeal on.
I couldn't get into it one way or the other.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, yes, congratulations. And as far as the new ruling goes regarding the interaction here, I was curious as to whether or not any of the other council members are allowed to respond to any kind of questions.
Of course.
Oh, okay. And also, it seemed like most civic meetings are usually a dialogue as opposed to a debate. So I would hope that you're still going to entertain a dialogue as opposed to a debate. Debates can go on forever, so I can understand the limitations being needed there. But at the same time, to shut us down totally would be a real affront to the people who are paying your salaries. But in any case, I'm glad that's not going to be the case. And I hope that in the future that things get a little better going. I can think that probably one of the reasons why you're having such a difficult time finding a city manager is after listening to Eddie, as somebody from a business background, I don't think I would want this job. It's like jumping in the middle of a firestorm, jumping down in the middle of a fire in California. This is the last place I'd want to be, and I'm sure that's true of a lot of people we've been talking to. So hopefully the situation here is going to improve, and you might be able to find more people willing to come in and take a chance. So anyway, I
work of maintenance performed on the buses when the DOT inspector came a few weeks ago. The inspector immediately inspected the only 2 buses in the garage. One failed and was not allowed to be used. Question, what about the 5 buses that were on the road? Should they be on the road? Or are they 100% safe? This is a major liability. What about the other vehicles and heavy equipment that's used every day? Are they safe? Why are the fire trucks being sent out to private shops? Well, simply because they can't trust the incompetent boss to get them fixed properly and safely. That's a fact. Eddie Ritter, who was the boss for 38 years, never failed a DOT inspection. That's a fact. And never had a problem fixing any and all of the 240 pieces of equipment in this city. If the city wants to play Russian roulette with the lives of the public and the city employees, it's on you, city council and city manager. But it's very ironic. The one person in the city who truly knows how bad and dangerous the situation is Mike Daniel, acting city manager. He had bought his car just before he became city manager. He had bought his car in for a complete inspection the day before he had to go out on the parkway for a long ride. The next day, when coming back home, the drive shaft fell out. These are the big drive shafts, almost causing a horrific accident. When he got back to Long Beach, he went ballistic on our incompetent head boss mechanic. And he said, I quote, "If it's the last thing I ever do before I retire, it's to get you fired." That's a fact. Well, what happened, Mike? I can't and I won't believe politics is more important than safety. Then again, why is this incompetent boss still here after 4 years of mayhem? City Council, Mr. Head, please, I'm begging you to research this completely about this individual. And Michael Robinson, he's in charge of that garage and he let this happen. What you do with him is not my concern. But please, in the safety of Long Beach, try to get an answer to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pashini. I will definitely reach out to the garage and find out what.
Thank you, please.
Just for clarification, the drive shaft never fell out of my car. There's never any chance for a horrific accident. So some of your facts.
You're a liar.
You're a liar.
You're a liar. You were heard by 20 people in the garage and I was there. You came in.
All right, Mr. Pashini.
You're a liar. You lied beforehand. You lied again. Research that.
I will.
You research that. Don't be a liar, Mike.
President Ramos.
Yes.
You're a liar.
We just want to request a report.
You're a liar.
What's happening with the garage?
Yes, and inspections.
And the inspections. And safety of our workers, and
Correct.
safety of our residents should be a priority.
100%.
Thanks.
I'll be back.
Okay. With that, that's the end of our meeting. And then we'll bang. Hope everyone gets home safe and Happy New Year.
Liar.